Personal training or online coaching? This is the big question. This is the conundrum. This is the fight. This is the argument that people have all the time. And trust me, I talk to so many coaches that I have this argument too. And I want to talk to you about what I think, okay? Because I am an online coach and I have my opinion. So firstly, I think the best way to do this is look at the pros and cons of each. It's a little bit warm in here, so I'm going to just take this off. The very first thing we need to think about is, as a personal trainer, what are the pros? Firstly, you get to work with somebody in person. So I think that when you work with someone in person, it's easier to correct their technique. It's easier to push them a little bit harder. It's easier to sell, because when you're seeing someone face to face, it's a lot easier to sell. All of those things for me are big pros, especially from like the hands-on coaching aspect of it. It's definitely a pro. The other thing that I would say is a pro as well is if you're someone who really enjoys social interaction, then it works out for you very well. I enjoy social interaction, but you know, certain aspects of it I just didn't really enjoy. Those are the pros for me. I couldn't really think of much other pros apart from that. I think also you get access to people like in person, so they can't ignore you, which can happen online. You teach classes, so you get that another big element of interacting with humans again. So there's a lot of pros on that aspect, but to be honest, that's about it. Now let's look at the cons of being an in-person PT. The cons for me would be time. You are trading 1 hour of time for 40 or 50 pound. If you're in the city areas, then maybe 80, 90 pound, maybe 100 plus pound if you're really highly valued. For me, I think that obviously there is a cap on that. If you're consistently trading time for money, you can only do so much because there's 24 hours in a day. You spend about 6 to 8 of that sleeping. You might spend an hour or two commuting to the gym, and then you spend a couple hours PTing, and then you need time for lunch, you need time to do your own training. When we think of it from that aspect, like the opportunity to scale your coaching business with face-to-face coaching is quite limited, and it's quite difficult because most PTs, they may be doing 15 to 20 hours of PT a week. If you're doing more than that, 25, 30, you're probably pushing close to that burnout sort of phase, especially if you're doing anything 40 and above. You're definitely heading very, very close to burnout. So the scalability of it is quite difficult. And the only way to scale it is either increasing your prices, which depending on your demographic can be difficult, or opening your own gym and hiring PTs under you, which has a ton of overheads, but it can be done. Okay, so for me, a big con is the time aspect. Another con is dealing with those last minute cancellations. If you are a PT, you've definitely felt it, because I felt it. You know, when you go into the gym, yeah, you might be on your way to the gym and you get a text, oh, I can't make it, sorry, can we reschedule? Like, I know that feeling way too well. I don't like it. It used to burn. And thankfully, I put policies in my PT business where if you cancelled within 12 hours or something like that, you never got your session back. I had to make sure my time was protected. That, for me, that's a big con. That was a very big con. Another con is obviously paying rent. Now, I think everybody should pay rent because, hey, they're letting you use the space to run your business out of. So I don't have anything against paying rent, but having to pay rent was a con, because if I had to pay £600 or I had to give away 12 hours of my time, that was not beneficial to me. I just didn't like that aspect of it. Until I could open my own space, that was just quite difficult for me. So that was a big con in my opinion. Another con is commuting. If you don't live right next to the gym, commuting to the gym would be pretty difficult. I used to coach at F45 and I had to get up at 4 in the morning to get a train to open the gym up, set things up and teach the first class, which was, I liked coaching at F45, but that getting up that early to get on the train was just not fun for me. Thankfully, those days are long gone. But yeah, that was pretty tough for me. I did not enjoy it. So for me, commuting back and forth from the gym was quite difficult, depending on where you are. Another con is that you're limited, like geographically, you know, like I can only coach people within a certain radius. Like I can't coach people all over the world. Like it's going to be a bit difficult. So that's a big con for me. And I think I mentioned it, but obviously the lack of ability to scale aside from opening my own gym and hiring PTs beneath me. So with all of that, for me, those were some pretty big cons that made it pretty clear to me that I don't think I could PT for the rest of my life. I don't think I could do it when I'm a 60-year-old man, 70-year-old man with kids, with family, grandchildren. Like that's not something I could do forever. So I knew that and I had to get out of it. So online coaching. Now, obviously I'm biased, but let's just start with the pros of online coaching. Pros is it's a lot more scalable. You can handle 40 or 50 online clients on your own before even hiring an assistant coach. So that is pretty darn good for me. Next part of it is you can charge a higher price and you can really specialize your coaching. Whereas in person, you're at the mercy of the gym goers, rather as online, you can actually tailor your program for a specific demographic of who you actually want to work with, which is ideal, especially as an online coach. Another thing is that you can work from wherever you want to work from. Me, I usually work at home in London, but I've traveled. I can work when I travel. I've been to Barcelona, I've been to Thailand, went to Jamaica. I could work anywhere I want. which is really, really good, really useful, especially if you like to travel. I like to travel. I'm not like crazy about travel, but I do travel a few times a year and I enjoy it and I can still work and I like to work. So it's all good. You can work from home, which is obviously a big thing for me. I'm not very, very social, so I can kind of work in my own little den, which is nice. And I enjoy that aspect of it. I can reach more people, which is obviously a big thing. And I think that for me, knowing that I've had clients in the States, I've had clients all over Europe, I've had clients in Asia. Like for me, that's a big thing because it lets me know that my impact is beyond just my local area. Like I'm making an impact in multiple places, which for me is powerful as a coach. So that's another pro in my opinion. Another pro is that like when you're doing online coaching, you are actually a business owner. Like you run a legitimate business because you're not just trading your time for money. It's not just £40 in your pocket for a half an hour, 45-minute session. It's actually like I'm actually building something. I'm building out a real product, a real service that requires high levels of care for each person that enters my program. And for me, that's kind of where my heart lies when it comes to coaching. Now, it doesn't mean that being online is all roses and sunshines. It has its cons too. And one of the cons that I would say is it's definitely not the same level of intensity from a coaching aspect. It's not actually a con because this is the problem that I see with coaching is when you PT someone, they do an hour of work, yeah? But you don't see them for another week unless you're PTing them 2 or 3 times a week, which unless you're prices are really cheap, that can be really expensive because if you charge £40 or £50 a session and someone sees you 3 times a week, you know, they could be paying £150 a week, which if you've got really good clients, high value clients, then yeah, they can do that, but not most people won't be able to do that. So the likelihood is they see you once a week, right? They see you once a week. From the day they see you to the next time they see you, you don't know what they're doing, what they're eating, how they're performing. Therefore, when they're not seeing results, it's not even your fault. It's not your fault, but it feels like it's your fault because you didn't manage the rest of their time. However, I'll be honest with you, obviously online coaching, the person that's training is not training at a 10 out of 10 effort level. But if we can get them to train at a 7 out of 10 effort level and do that consistently over the course of the week, that's way more effective than them training 10 out of 10 just once a week, just so you're aware. So it's a pro, but it's a con, but it's a pro at the same time. But yeah, the training intensity is obviously not going to be exactly the same. And also you can't fix their technique live in the flesh with them, of course. Another con of online coaching is it requires more marketing skills. So to be honest, it's not a con that's not actually not a con, but it's a con in a sense that if you're not willing to do the work to be good at marketing, then online coaching is tough because online coaching is just personal training, but being a great marketer. You have to be a good marketer and know your target market and make stuff that your target market actually wants. That's really the biggest difference. If you get that nailed in, you'll be fine. Another con is it's harder to sell. Like, I'll be brutally honest with you, online coaching is harder to sell versus face-to-face because face-to-face is typical. Everyone knows it. Everyone's used to it. It's the typical way of doing things. Online coaching requires you to be a good marketer, put an offer out to the market, and then actually get on sales calls with people and present something to people and sell it. That is difficult. Especially if you're coming from the PT gym floor where everything is, I'll be honest, it's kind of easy. It's kind of easy if you know what to do. So yeah, that's a con. Another con with online coaching is sometimes if you don't have the right systems in your business, you end up being sat on a laptop a lot. And you might hate being in that kind of position where you're on the laptop all day just doing work. It can happen, but it only happens when you don't have the system set up right in your business. Once you have the system set up right, it's fine, but most people don't. So that's a big con for me. Another con with online coaching, and it's not a con for me, but it's a con for like most people, is you don't have to be technical, but you need to have like a level of knowing how to use a laptop. If you've lived your whole life and not used a laptop, I'm sorry for you anyway, but like if you literally say, I don't know how to use tech and you don't even try, then yes, online coaching is not gonna work for you. You're not gonna enjoy it. You're not gonna have a fun time, but you can overcome it. This idea that I can't use tech, it makes me sick, but you can overcome it. So those are the pros and cons in my opinion, and I can't really think of anything else. So that should do it. Now, am I gonna say what's better? Of course, I'm gonna say online coaching is better because it's a lot more scalable and you can work with more people. You can definitely make more money and with less overheads, because that's really what we're trying to look at here. Because the biggest thing with PT is that the overheads can be crazy, especially if you're trying to scale. The only way to scale is probably to own a gym and hire PTs under you, which again, like I said, that does require a lot of cash reserves and a lot of overheads. Think about renting a gym, water bills, electric bills, blah, blah, blah. However, obviously online coaching, all you need is a coaching software, maybe an email marketing system and something where you can host landing pages and stuff like that. It's fairly easy to do. But that's it, man. Pros and cons. I can't really see anything else. I probably missed a few bits and pieces, but what sounds better to you? In my opinion, obviously online sounds better to me because it's an easier life. But I know there's a ton of people out there who still enjoy face-to-face PT and they will never do online coaching, which is all good for them. But yeah, that's kind of what I see as the pros and cons. I'd love to know what you guys think. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment because I want to know what you guys think's better or what you prefer.